Cumming Georgia is quickly becoming one of the best suburbs in all of Metro Atlanta. Very popular place to live. So many people are continuing to move to this suburb, and for great reason. There's so many things about Cumming that attracts so many people. So let's talk about what it's like to live here and figure out whether or not it's the right place for you. What's up, y'all? My name is Victor with Atlanta Suburban Living, and we put out videos every week about what it's like to live in Atlanta and the surrounding suburbs. When it comes to what it's like living in Cumming, one of the best ways to figure that out is to see where it is in relation to Atlanta and the other suburbs. Cumming is in the very north part of Metro Atlanta, and so it's one of these areas that's getting a lot of influx of people. It's quite a ways north of Atlanta. It's probably about an hour to an hour and a half drive, especially if that rush hour is really bad. You're looking at a long commute from Cumming to Atlanta. So some of Cumming, like especially the north part of Cumming, is more rural than like the south part of Cumming. And Cumming is in Forsyth County, which is just north of like the Fulton County area. So very often people who are considering moving to the Fulton County area but want to widen their search, they widen their search to the Forsyth area and the city of Cumming. For this reason, there are a lot of similarities between this city and Alpharetta. There are a lot of things that people are looking for in Alpharetta that they also find in this city. And so you can see a lot of similarities between the two. For example, in Alpharetta, you have the Avalon, which is one of these mixed use areas where there are condos you can live in. There's also lots of shops. And then similarly, in the Alpharetta Forsyth area, there is the Halcyon, and the Halcyon is also one of these mixed use kind of areas with lots of shops and lots of restaurants. So while you can find that mixed use area, the Halcyon, in the south part of Forsyth County, it's not really the same in the northern part of the city of Cumming. Again, it's a bit more rural, more spread out. You're going to see homes that have bigger land lots. And so if you're looking for a home with a lot of land, then the north part of Cumming is a great option. But if you're looking for that kind of like nightlife and things to do in the evenings, lots of shops and restaurants, then the south part of Cumming is much better. When it comes to demographics and like the racial makeup of the area, I know that's something that's very important to many people who watch the channel, including myself and my family. So if you plan on moving to this area, or you just have any questions about what it's like to live here, feel free to call, text, or email me anytime. Even if you just have any questions about moving to the city of Cumming, I'm happy to help. But there are many sources for finding out what the like racial makeup or the demographics are of any area. So I just pulled up one of the websites that I rely on a lot for determining those kinds of numbers. And so this is what I found out. According to the website datausa.io, Cumming is 68% white, 9% Asian, 7.8% African American, and then about 7% Hispanic. So those numbers kind of make it seem like it's not super diverse, and I would agree. This is not really the strong suit of Cumming or Forsyth County. The diversity there is not quite as high, and you kind of see this with a lot of suburbs that are on the outskirts of Metro Atlanta that are far from Atlanta. You don't see quite as much diversity as the suburbs that are closer to the city of Atlanta. Another thing that you find closer to the city of Atlanta is the suburbs that are more densely populated. You know, you're going to be with more traffic and more lines at the grocery store, or, you know, whatever kind of events and things. There's going to be more people when you're in an area that's closer to the city of Atlanta. And Cumming is funny in that the south part of the city is more densely populated than the northern part. So these are really two factors that you really need to think about if you plan on moving here. When it comes to drive time and commuting, many people who live in this city don't work in Atlanta because that commute is very far. So very often people who live here work in a city like Alpharetta or Norcross. There's a lot of industry and a lot of tech. Also Marietta. These suburbs are much closer to the city of Cumming and are a much better drive. So For example, from the downtown area of Cumming to the downtown area of Alpharetta is 16 miles. So when there's a lot of traffic, you're looking at about a 40 minute commute. If there's no traffic on a Saturday morning or a Sunday in the middle of the night at 2 a.m., when there's no traffic in Atlanta, then maybe the commute is like 20 minutes. So, but there is a lot of traffic here all the time. So that commute definitely gets longer when there's more traffic, obviously. But it's much better than the commute to Atlanta. So again, that commute is not a common one. People don't, or they at least try to avoid working in Atlanta. If you're living in Cumming, you're talking an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours if the rush hour is bad enough. And then to get to nearby grocery stores or like a post office or whatever, did errands, Target is a super important one, Chick-fil-A. If you're trying to get to any of these kinds of like daily things that you might do, you're looking at about a 5 to 10 minute drive. It usually is not that far. Unless you're in a part of Cumming that is like super way out there and super country, then maybe you're looking at 15 minutes to a grocery store. But for the most part, it's about a 5 to 10 minute drive. But also very important is the distance from the city center of Cumming to Lake Lanier. The Lake Lanier is one of the biggest and most important parts of that part of Metro Atlanta, as it provides a lot of outdoor recreation, boating, swimming, fishing, all of these things. There's tons of parks around Lake Lanier, especially like come Memorial Day, the lake is packed with people on boats and jet skis. And so from Cumming, you're looking at like a 10-mile drive to the lake. And so this is a really impactful part of living in Cumming. If you're living in Cumming, it's very often or very common for people to go to Lake Lanier who live in this Cumming or Forsyth County area. Another important part of living here is the school aspect. Many people choose this area because of the excellent quality of the public schools. According to greatschools.org, West Forsyth High School is an 8 out of 10. South Forsyth High School is a 9 out of 10. And then you also have Hawk Creek Elementary School, which is an 8 out of 10. A quick word about the public school situation. I know there are tons of different sources for the ratings for public schools. If you are looking at just one source, it can be kind of difficult to get a really good picture of what the school ratings are in any area. So it's definitely recommended to look at multiple sources. In addition to that, you can have your child or your student go to a school that maybe is rated low and have an excellent influence or a great teacher, you know. Also, you can have your child or your student go to a excellent school, a 10 out of 10, and have a terrible experience or maybe a terrible teacher or something like that. So there's really, you got to take those ratings with a grain of salt. And you know, most people, I find that the rating of like 6 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 is kind of the least that they're willing to go. And I would agree, as a father myself, having my child go to a school that's like a 5 out of 10 would definitely be a difficult decision. And then when it comes to the homes here in Cumming, the average price for a home here is right around $700,000. You can certainly find homes here as low as $500,000. So there's quite a big range. One of the biggest factors is whether or not you're looking at new construction homes, in which case the average is probably closer to about $800,000. Or if you're looking at homes that maybe are older or need a little bit of work, you can definitely find homes lower than $600,000, maybe even lower than $500,000, but you'd be putting a lot of work into that home. And then we're seeing a lot of new construction incoming. This is not the case with other suburbs that are maybe closer to Atlanta that have been completely developed and there's like no room left. There's still plenty of space and plenty of land in Cumming, so we're seeing a lot of new construction there. And then you can also find older homes in Cumming, 70s and 80s, you know, these kinds of homes that have a lot of character and charm. Definitely plenty of those as well in this city. And the average size for a home here in Cumming is somewhere between 2,500 to 3,500. This is typically the size home that we find in this city. It is still a suburban area, and so you do see a lot of these two-story homes. We don't have a whole lot of ranches here because the builder obviously wants to try to minimize that footprint, so they tend to build up. So 2 stories, or there are homes with basements here. Those are also very common, but ranches are not as common here. Also, you should know that Cumming has its downsides like any part of Metro Atlanta. Any suburb has some downsides that you need to be aware of if you're thinking about moving there, and it's important for you to have the whole picture if you're planning on relocating to the Metro Atlanta area, so that we don't want to like gloss over the bad things and only talk about the good things. We want to make sure that you have the whole picture. So I made an entire video about the pros and the cons of living in Cumming. You can check it out right here. I'll see you in the next one.